In terms of control, like how much control are you looking for or wanting?
Probably on the higher end. I mean, not like, I don't want to say total control where, you know, she's kind of just always at my side and not kind of running around doing her own thing. Right. But I would like it where, you know, we would release her to go play.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think that's the kind of level I don't need, you know, very, very strict, but
okay. I think I get an idea of what you're talking about. Now, can I explain how it works?
Yeah.
I just had to think off my head. Has she had any previous stuff you done with her, food stuff, anything like that?
Just at home, you know, positive reinforcement. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So she has a concept like sitting down.
Yeah, she's good with basic.
She's good basic stuff inside. You know, she'll kind of listen outside when there's other dogs around in the park. It's kind of hit or miss.
Sure.
Because I mean, we're at the park, like, and so playtime's playtime.
Right.
Which I'm fine with, but I want to make sure that she does. You know, the park isn't fully enclosed.
Right. You have to have some kind of rules there.
Yep.
Okay. So this is pretty standard stuff. So when it comes to obedience, and I guess you guys are aware, because Shadow, Roxy, Nash, now Luna, Ruthie. Ruthie. Yeah, she actually. They had their second lesson on this past Friday.
Okay.
And did you ever see Ruthie, like how nervous she was and like she would bark at like random things and everything?
I didn't see too much of her. Like earlier on I did, but then we kind of started getting in different times in the park, so.
Sure. So when they first came here and they saw her, she was very nervous, very anxious, kind of barking. I went up to her, she just started charging at me, not aggressively because she was scared, you know? And then, you know, they did the first class and it was night and day. From first to second class, they were like, "Are you serious? Like she's like so calm now."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all e-collar.
Yep.
The reason why I do e-collar, even pre-COVID and stuff, most trainers teach it as the last resort. For me, it's the first resort because it gets me off-leash control. I can rehabilitate aggressive dogs, or I have control over even aggressive type, you know, behavioral issues, things like that. We can have a line of communication even with the dog. Technically, depending on the amount you get up to a mile, right? Which is obviously more than enough than the family pet. Family pet is typically like just a few yards. But you know, you get crazy range. It's also fully waterproof, so you know, if you go swimming in the lake and things like that, again, I still have control. And I think it's because of the way that they apply it. Most people apply it as a punisher, which means, you know, let's say you teach Winnie sit, she knows how to sit, and then you take her out in a setting like this, they would put the collar on her, they would say sit, she's too distracted, she doesn't respond. Then they apply the remote. That's a punisher. Okay. What I do is, even if the dog has obedience through food or whatever, or even previously trained with an e-collar, I layer it in over all the commands from beginning to end. Okay. So have you ever pulled up and pushed down on the button to make her sit?
Push down on her.
On her hindquarters. Yeah. Okay. So when you do that, you're putting physical pressure. Okay. So with physical pressure, you're saying put your butt down, and then when she does so, you would take your hand away, good girl, right? If she got up, you would repeat that, good girl, so on and so forth. So that's pressure. Prong is the spiky looking collar, is also another form of pressure. E-collar, again, is another form of pressure. Pressure is all over the place. It doesn't have to always be negative. Growing up, we had peer pressure, right? When people try to get you to do bad things. Yep, you know, still do, yep. When driving, you guys drive? If you're on the expressway, you ever had someone like really close to you? And it makes you feel a certain way. And you either brake check, you switch lanes, or you speed up. Because it's making you feel uncomfortable, right? So that's a form of pressure. So e-collar is a form of remote pressure, or you know, e-collar pressure, however you want to term it. And it's a muscle contraction. Okay, so most people think it's electricity, like a taser, and it's not. It's electric, but not electricity is what I say. They use the technology on humans, it's perfectly safe to use. But again, it's that psychology or that just impression that people have of I'm electrocuting my dog, which is not like the electric chair. Like that would be electric chair, right? Electrocution is that.
Yes.
Muscle contraction is simply, yes, there's an electric current, but it's centralized and it just moves that single muscle. We don't feel anything anywhere else. Whereas electricity would, of course, travel from one point to the other, right? So they use it for people at the physical therapist or a chiropractor, if you've ever been to one. It's the machine they use to recreate labor contraction pains in men, right? But that's more uncomfortable because they're replicating labor contraction, right? So it's a very intense muscle contraction. That's e-collar, okay? But at the press of a button, you can use it to shape everything. So if I'm trying to teach Lenny or Winnie, I have a dog named Winnie. If I'm working with Winnie, again, I don't do sit. If you don't do it, I punish you. What I do is I shape it, and I use the pressure so she feels it as I'm guiding her into a position, and as soon as she complies, everything stops. And then she gets up again, and I repeat. And I add in the remote again, and I reposition her, and she goes, man, every time I stand up, this happens, but when I sit down, it goes away.
Yep.
So now she starts to see it as a line of communication, okay? And then not that we don't ever use it for correctional means, because we absolutely do, but that's not the first way we approach it, okay? So we shape everything from the sit, the down, the come, the stay, the heel, whatever we're looking to get with e-collar, okay? So the methods that I use are off-leash methods. Whether or not the owner wants to get that level of training is just a contingent on do they want to put in the time and practice, okay? But typically by the third class, the clients are already doing off-leash heel, which is, when we train the dogs walk at our side, when we cue it, okay? So you mentioned something like, I don't need her tight. I want her to still be a dog, but I need control. Okay?
Yeah, so I mean, with heel, I would like her to be tight at her side.
Right, when you cue it.
Yes, absolutely.
So what we do here is we are not wanting to create a robot. You're not going to lose personality, because that's like one of the biggest concerns in my dog.
I guess
change, right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting to.
Yeah. No, I always want a nice, happy, friendly, sociable dog that knows that will do what it wants, but when I call them, they're back.
Yes.
If I say lay down, don't move, you're not going to move for the next 2 hours until I release you.
Yes.
So it's essentially, once I cue it, we have control, and then we say we're done, she's free again.
Yep.
She's back to being loose, okay? So for heel, just that we are aware of how it works, is heel isn't centered around pulling, okay? It's not, so most people, they don't really care if their dog pulls, they just don't want their dog to pull that much. It's like the most common kind of mindset that I come across. And they say, I want to teach my dog loose leash walking, okay? Which is like a very popular thing now.
Yeah.
It's BS. Okay? Because as soon as something catches Winnie's attention, there's gonna be tension.
Yep.
Okay, so loose leash almost always leads to pulling.
Right.
And unless you have the chillest dog in the world, or your dog is like 12 years old and they don't care anymore, you're most likely not gonna get loose leash.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is it's either a tight heel when we have it on, or when he's free doing her own thing.
Yep.
Okay, so it's on or off. So think of obedience as clocking her into work. Like right now I'm working for you, I'm educating you, I'm teaching you how I train, the tool and what it is. I'm not on my phone, I'm not like talking to anybody, I'm not talking to friends, I'm not having a beer, I'm on the clock right now,
Yeah.
right? But as soon as you guys leave, I could go to the bar.
Yeah.
I'm clocked out, I can have that beer. Same thing for Winnie. When I give that command, she's clocked in. It is her job to perform the task that I taught her, but it's also my job to make sure that I reinforce that task to that degree, okay? So if I cue heel, she's at my hip, right shoulder to left leg, ideally as tight as possible, because that's, how would you say, the reason why you want more control is because that's what allows you to walk past other dogs,
yes.
And she doesn't just like lunge like, hey, I'm Winnie.
Yeah.
People go like, well, I don't want it to be too strict. I'm like, well, it's either strict or not.
Yeah.
So if it's not strict, then your dog goes, well, I want to go meet this dog.
Yep.
Right? Now we're going against the obedience that we're teaching, right? So there's no gray area. Humans create gray area for dogs. That's actually one of my daycare dogs. Hi again. Friday, whenever you're ready.
Winnie's
He got
here.
neutered. Yeah, that's
Winnie's getting spayed tomorrow.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah.
He just got neutered, so he hasn't been by. Yeah, it's very black and white, because when you create gray area, like let's say for Winnie, you're walking with her, she's got a good heel, and you're gonna pass by Nash, and you know each other, and she goes to sniff Nash and say hi and wiggle and all that stuff, and you don't cue the release.
Yep.
As a human, you're logical, and you go, she knows Nash,
That's fine.
that's a buddy thing, exactly. You're like, whatever. But for Winnie, she goes, oh, if I can break away to go Nash, can I break away to go sniff this? Can I break away to pee on this? Can I break away to beat this dog I don't know? Can I break away to go jump this person? Now it becomes other things. Because they don't think that like you do. You're logical, you can excuse certain things, and you know what you're excusing. And you can even say, Winnie, we're going to excuse that because you know Nash.
Yeah.
She does not know what that means,
Right.
okay? So obedience, super black and white, but of course you determine when she's free. She's more than welcome to have that freedom. I just want to know that when I give that cue or command, we're going to get that response, okay? So, with like playing at the park with the dogs and stuff, definitely wanting that off-leash recall. Recall, in my opinion, always has to be off-leash reliable, otherwise it's pointless, okay? So that's the one command that I do always press with people and say, make sure you practice this, make sure you get this to off-leash reliability, because that's the purpose of this command. If she's chasing something like, you guys know Roxy with Naringa?
Yeah.
Roxy, this was like early on when I was still working with them, I believe. She was at Travis and, or is it Treves? I say Travis.
We
don't know.
Like, what is it? Like, I changed what I say.
Yeah.
Right across the street.
Because I was talking to Elizabeth and she said Treves. I'm like, Travis? And then she's like, oh, Travis.
I think
everyone
makes it up.
I would say Trabes.
Trabes? There you
I
go.
say
It's got their own
Treves.
pronunciation.
Yeah, tomato, tomato, right?
Yeah.
So she was there with Roxy, and there was a rabbit, and it booked it from where the side of where like Nash is, all the way to like the playground.
Yeah.
And Roxy booked it after that rabbit, and Naringa had to max out the collar in 127 it.
Yep.
And you know she shrieked, hit the ground, came back running 180. Otherwise, it would have been she would have been in the street.
Yeah.
So you know Naringa was talking to me. She's like, "Did I do the right thing? I felt really bad. I felt terrible." I'm like, "Well, had you not done that, she would have hit the street, right?"
Yeah.
But that's the purpose of the collar. Is like sometimes life throws you crap that you're not prepared for. It actually happened to Melissa too.
I was there when that happened.
Was it? Yeah. It was before they did recall.
Yep.
Because I remember it was a day when I went there. It was a day we were gonna start recall, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Guess what happened, Jesse?" And I was
Yep.
like, "What?" And she had to do that
She
exact
maxed
same
out, yeah.
thing.
And he freaked out.
Yeah.
Which, again, we saw it, and I was like, and then he came right back and he stayed.
Yep.
And I was like, that's exactly what I want.
Right.
I mean,
We want training so we don't have to do that.
Correct.
But in the situation of an emergency, it's that tool,
Yes.
right? So when I talk to people, in my years of training, whenever anybody's come back to me with a story obedience-based, it's always been with the recall, and it's always been in extreme circumstances.
Right, like going.
Somebody set off a firework, Melissa with that incident, Naringa had two incidents. Naringa had that one with the rabbit, and she had one here. It was Roxy and another dog went after a tennis ball at the same time, and it triggered a fight. And she did the same thing, and Roxy pulled out immediately.
Okay.
I had another client over here in Lincoln Park. Their dog, they didn't have to max out the collar, but their dog was nose-to-nose to a coyote.
oh,
That like they were like walking dogs off leash. They turned around like, "Where's Emmett?" And the next thing you know, there was a coyote out of bush, and they were nose to nose, and he was like, "Come," and he 180 and came straight back.
Good.
So he messaged me. He was like, "Yo," he's like, "Man, craziest thing."
Yeah.
And I put it up on social media because I was like, "This is what we train for."
yeah.
Because people don't think about that stuff. I love positive reinforcement. I use it for puppies under 6 months. It's great for foundation. But once it comes to real world stuff, when we need it to absolutely work, it fails.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I work with my clients, we're teaching the dog, of course, but then I'll take tangents and I'll tell you, realistically speaking, this is not going to work. You might have to do this. You know, max out the collar. But I educate you. But the idea here is you practice, you do your practice. You do different scenarios that should something pop up. It is a simple count, right? But we have to account for what is the scenario, right? So if it's like, oh, she's chasing after a rabbit, just came out of nowhere. Ideally, count, boom, no problem. But if she's like, no, I really want this rabbit, and she's gonna disagree because she's a living being, she can disagree.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Nope, I disagree with what you're doing. I'm gonna make you come back. Okay. So e-collar is the ultimate tool in my opinion. So in terms of control and length of time, the way I kind of look at my programs is kind of contingent on people's life with their dogs. If it's a simple, we're going to go across the street, maybe the occasional dog park, she'd always be on a leash for leash walking. The only time she'd be off leash is in that setting. Then that's a real simple 6-class program. If it's, we do, walk with her, we take her to the dog park, we take her off leash at parks like this, and we go to restaurant patios, and we'd like her to sit still for a bit, then that would be my 9-week program, okay, which is 9 classes. And then if it's like we go camping, we go hiking, our dog's in off-leash heel, like all this stuff, we need stationary work when we have the fire going and all that, then I go, that's my 12-week program, okay? So what your life looks like with Winnie is what kind of dictates the length of time, okay? I've been doing this for 10 years now with e-collar, that I know when it's strictly obedient stuff, I know what I can get done within a certain time frame, okay? Now, let's say you choose like the 6-week one, because it's typically 2 weeks for heel, 2 weeks for recall.
Okay.
And then the last 2 I change to like whatever the person wants. Okay. So if it's like you're doing your homework and everything's great and she's progressing really well, I go, awesome. What else would you like to learn? And you go, could we do duration stuff? And I go, sure, absolutely. That's how we teach it, right? So you could technically do what you could do within 9 weeks, within 6 weeks, but it depends on the owner.
Yep.
Right? If they're really drilling out their homework, because that's what happened with Melissa. They got heel, recall, and stationary stuff. within 6 weeks because they were practicing all the time.
Yeah.
Stationary is just sit, stay.
It's like so stationary for me is lay down, don't move for the next 3 hours type of deal.
Got it.
If needed. So like if you go to a brunch, like you'd be there for an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours. If Winnie's with you, I want to just like down her or tell her to go to a bed or something, and she's not going to move, so I can just enjoy that brunch and not worry about what is Winnie doing.
Got it.
Okay. So that's where stationary control comes in, because typically if you don't give the dog something to do, they're wandering, they're sniffing, they're looking at the table, you know, they're picking crap off the ground. That stationary control is good there. Or let's say you take her to a friend's house, maybe they got kids, and the kid's energy and Winnie is just too much for her. Lay down, don't move.
Yep.
Right? So these kids are running around doing their doggy thing. She's over here minding her own business. I'm not worried about it. Okay? Questions?
You got the balance.
Nothing right now.
I guess we'd see how the first few weeks go, how fast she's progressing.
Come on, Winnie. Hey. Come here. Come here.
Do you know how big she's going to get?
70 plus?
70 plus?
That's what we're guessing. I mean, I think she's like,
She's going to be on the larger end of a female lab.
yeah.
Okay. So you technically have two options here. One is for 70 pounds and under. That one, that you call her, you get these on Amazon. It runs about 287 caps. 3/4 mile range, fully waterproof, lasts for years. Okay. Though you'll see cheap ones on there, they're crap. Trust me, you don't want them.
Okay.
Plus the way the stimulation comes across isn't the same.
Okay.
The professional grade ones are the miniaturized 10 units, like I was explaining at the beginning.
Yep.
Nash is on one that's meant for 70 plus. Okay. The only issue is they just recently discontinued that particular model.
Got it.
Now you can still find them. They're just becoming more and more scarce. I'm surprised how scarce they're actually getting.
Yeah.
But there's like an eBay listing. The last we checked, they had like 30 plus that we've been sending people there to get that particular model. The way I look at it is the reason why I stress getting a higher powered collar is, yes, it's by the size, but also you have to think about the context. So, let's say she has really good prey drive, she sees a rabbit, she's booking it, and that one for 70 below may not be enough output in that setting to disengage her.
Got it.
That I always tell people, you want to opt for more power, so you rather have it and not need it, it's just a few bucks more.
Okay.
And we're not worried about, is she going to outgrow the other one, right? Because let's say she's doing great on it as a puppy, but then she's a full-size 80 to 90 pound lab.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like in certain moments, you're noticing like it's not enough output, and then you try looking for the higher power ones, and then maybe it's sold out by that point. You know what I mean? So we'll send you the information for both of them.
Okay.
My suggestion would be, if she's going to be a larger lab, I go with more power.
Okay.
While you can still get them.
Yeah.
I've trained a few labs, and
Winnie.
it was funny. I trained one lab in particular. How old is she now?
6 months.
6 months. So it's funny because he was about her size. And they're like, man, he's like so small. And then I was like, yeah, typically dogs hit the height around this age and he would fill out. And then within 2 weeks, he was just double.
Really?
And now he's a 90 plus lab.
Yes.
Yeah. His name is Murphy. He's super well trained and stuff.
Harry, what did you choose?
So we give you that information, and you can go on Amazon or eBay to get those. You know, you make your decision what you want to do.
Okay.
And then let me think here. Any questions? Any other questions? Any kind of concerns?
I mean, for our lifestyle, like, we are going to be, like, we do go camping, we do, and we want to bring her with us. I don't know if 12
Yeah.
What you can do?
Well, can we just see how the 6 goes and then, like commit to 6 and then?
Yeah. So the way it works is, I don't care what you pick.
Okay.
Let's say you do the 6, and you pick a time that works for everybody, and let's say it's this time. Okay. For 6 weeks plus 1, this is your time. No one can take it from you. Okay? You reserve that spot. But maybe you travel a couple of weeks, whatever, and you have to push back on your schedule. Is once your priority ends, if we need to book someone, like maybe they can do this time, we would book them, and then Maria will tell you, you don't lose the classes. We just need to reschedule the last 2 that you have because you lost priority. Because we used to save the spots, but then we had people that traveled all the time, and I'm sitting there with this blank spot. And then like I would get backed up. So to keep my calendar rolling, that's the easiest. So you don't lose the classes.
Right.
It's just you lose the priority. So yeah, you can absolutely do that.
You probably wouldn't have 9 solid weeks anyway.
Yeah, we're getting married at the end of September.
Oh,
so.
congratulations.
Yeah, so we figure we'll start it after all that settles.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you can do it however you like. You can start, like I've had people do 3, they travel for a couple of weeks, come back and they just practice what they learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't inhibit the training.
Right. Okay.
The way that I train, there's e-collar gives so much gray area. Like now we're not even touching the dogs. Like Nash, I didn't touch.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
completely verbal instruction.
Yep.
Right.
You know, and I wish I would have recorded Nash because Nash, you know, we started recording the 3rd session in.
Oh, you didn't get that part because I know I saw some videos of Melissa's.
Yeah. We started recording because she was my first, you know, post-COVID client.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, "Can you even train my dog if you're not touching them?" And I knew that I could with verbal instruction, but I needed somebody to start it, and she was kind of the, you know,
and Nash was like
the
a
gear.
project too, so it's like a good class.
She's told us all about his horror stories, and we're just like,
Yeah. So e-collar allowed for that, and now like the reason why we're recording everything now is since there's a lot of information. People can go back to the videos and review it.
Okay.
You know, so if they miss anything, like what did Jesse say?
Yeah.
It's helped solve a couple of arguments with couples too.
Oh, that's nice.
Because people disagree with stuff. They're like, Jesse said this. Like, let's just go to the video.
Yeah, there you
Yesterday, I had 2 clients that like, let's ask you a question because we both can agree. And then I said it, and like the husband was incorrect, and the wife was right. It's like, so you know, it happens. But yeah, that's the reference point.
Yep.
If there was something that we were, how would you say, struggling with, I would send you like, hey, here's another video that we did with another client that will help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also have a client who's been jumping ahead. She's been watching the videos and doing stuff and going like, hey, I already started doing this. I'm like, great. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm like, if you're doing the work and watching these hour-long videos and learn stuff and doing it and making progress, I just keep helping. Like, I just keep trucking along, you know? I don't limit people to how'd you say, like, it's not like, you do this program, you only get this.
Right.
I go, if you're putting in the work, I've had people off-leash train their dog within a couple of weeks because every day, they're out there drilling.
Yeah.
Like, what else can I learn, Jesse? I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So that's how I operate, okay?
Yep.
So yeah, you can start with 6, I don't care.
Okay.
We also added in complimentary Zooms. So you get 2 Zoom sessions as well.
Okay.
For just like FAQ stuff, anything, you know, so that we use these classes for the stuff that we have to do in person. And if there's like any just general questions, we can do that over a Zoom session. This way we don't waste any time, you know, just talking about stuff. We're practically always use this time to do hands-on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else?
I actually want to run with her.
Sure.
Would that be something to go through?
Yeah,
like,
it's easy.
Okay.
It's super easy. And you can start that with the running. Do you run with her now or no?
No, because what they say after a year.
Yeah.
Just to not have her.
Hip dysplasia.
Yeah. It's personal preference.
Okay.
It's because like I have a 70-pound pit, 6-pound pit now, you know, and like I did all sorts of stuff that they told me not to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I always tell people personal preference. Do what makes you feel good. So I know veterinarians all about the activity stuff, but then I get clients like, well, then my pup's got all this energy and like, they're destroying stuff. Like they need activity.
Yeah.
You know, so trainers will tell you one thing, and veterinarians will tell you another.
But I haven't ran with her.
But yeah,
I wanted her to be trained and not pulling when I'm running with her, so haven't tried it yet.
So once she's trained with the heel, it's a real simple exercise where I'll tell you walk a block, run a block to build her up to it. But then you also have to build the stamina.
Yep.
And
Thank you.
and then when they talk about like the running stuff, the general rule of thumb is 5 minutes per month.
Okay.
You know, so it's a 6-month-old puppy. 30 minutes of extraneous activity is how I do it.
Okay.
So like I'll walk my dog for an hour, my puppy, at 6 months or whatever, for an hour, but they'll only do like 30 minutes of fetch because it's an extraneous activity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the rule of like 5 minutes a month for a puppy, especially when they're at 2 months, like they need a lot more activity.
Yeah.
And if you let them do what they do, they're all over the place, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's plenty of energy there.
Yep.
So that's how I like with my puppies and stuff. I told people, you know, walk them for however long they're good for to burn off energy. But for the extraneous stuff, limit to 5 minutes per month. You know, so so if you did the running stuff, that's how I'd approach that. If you decide to do that sooner, otherwise, you know, if you listen to your vet and wait a year, it doesn't matter to me. Always do what makes you feel better at the end of the day. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. And we'll both be here for each session, right?
Yes. But anybody who's going to be a part of it is more than welcome to join.
Okay.
If you're probably like a third or fourth person, like I would focus on the primary handlers, which if it's you two.
Yeah.
And then anytime at the end, I'd help whoever's left there.
Got it.
Because obviously you're the most important one.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone's more than welcome to join and watch. I don't mind.
Yep.
And then Maria would handle the scheduling, the booking, all that stuff.
Okay.
You know, part of your fee today goes towards your program as well. She'll send you the information for which collar.
Okay.
We'll send you the 2 models.
Okay.
And she'll provide you with the link so that.
To eBay for like the.
Yeah.
Got it.
And it just check it because when I checked, they had 36.
36. Okay.
Okay. And then I had a couple clients buy one, so I'm assuming 34 if no one else has bought one.
Yeah.
The higher power ones run, I think, run about 350 something with tax.
Okay.
Year-long warranty. Lasts again for years. The most common thing that we see is the battery because it's a rechargeable lithium battery does, run out.
Got it.
But you go on their website, you can replace it for $15-20. You open it up, put in a new one, you're fine. Yeah. I've had my collars going on 8 years now.
Oh wow.
And they're fun.
Okay.
Every now and then I get a client whose battery dies sooner than most. But it's technology.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I mean we'll schedule with Maria the timing and
Yes.
that. So if we do 6 sessions, we'll get that locked in.
Right.
But then you start in like early October.
Yeah, that's fine. And we'll see what happens because of COVID. Because we used to do home to home, right? We'll go to you and all that stuff.
I would prefer to be in a park.
Yeah,
like
this is
here.
where we train.
Yeah, like our home obedience is good.
Yeah, she's good
Really
inside.
like the outside
It's
stuff
just like
up
I would
there.
want like the extra distraction.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why we trained here.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier you should have seen it. We had a Doberman who was muzzled, who was pure aggressive and like dog aggressive and all that stuff, and there was 30 kids running around through here.
At one point, there was like 4 dogs over there too.
Yeah, there was like off-leash dogs. We get everything here.
Yeah.
So this is the prime spot to train. I typically get your dog listening here. Everyone should be easy.
Or like picnicking. I hate when she runs towards people picnicking.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have all that kind of stuff.
She keeps barking because Otto's over there.
Oh, I see him. Oh yeah, I forgot. I trained Otto too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otto, Quinn's usually up at Travis, so.
Oh, really?
I see him in the morning all the time.
Yeah, I
so.
see him occasionally here over here at the Oz.
Yeah. So we'll say hi after this. But yeah, I don't think I have another question. Study.
I think so. She generally listens to Wade way better than me.
Sure.
I'm assuming the e-collar will just even that out. No
Yep,
problem.
because when you press the button and when he presses the button,
yeah, it's
Same
same
doesn't matter.
thing.
same thing.
When
Yep.
you will listen to me now.
Yeah.
Super easy. I had a client or a couple. They were like in their 60s and 70s up in like Winnetka,
Yep.
and they got a German Shepherd, 120 pounds. And I'm just like, why would you get a German Shepherd at this age? But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the dog was super sensitive to e-collar.
Oh, good.
Because the wife was a small, little, petite lady, and I was just like, man, this dog.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the dog was very receptive and like stupid low on the collar.
Yeah.
Because the dog reacted. I was like,
Yeah.
this dog's gonna see a dog, it's gonna take you down. But she had the control. She was like, I'm perfectly confident. She's like, I press the button. And she's like, if I need to, I can just jack it up.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about physical strength. So it provides a very big gray area for people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
No,
and same with like my parents watching her. We didn't
Yeah,
want her
and
pulling on my dad if he's taking her on a walk.
Yes,
either.
and it transfers very easily.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, let's say you train Winnie and you gave Winnie to Melissa. Melissa already knows how to use it.
Yeah.
It would just boom transfer because it's you press the button and you do this. It's the exact same thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about technical skill. We don't have to worry about timing.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about physical strength, age, any of that stuff because I can just compensate for power.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's a pleasure meeting everybody again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you too.
If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out.
Okay.
And then I'll call Maria right now and she'll follow up with you with an email stuff with all the information. And you can book ahead or whatever.
That sounds good.
And then we'll see you when we see you.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I remember when she was so tiny.
I know.
Time flies by, man.
I
I was like,
know.
what?